Okay, Kitty Pies, it's April 7th, 2020, in the height of the pandemic, coronavirus, and I've been practicing a lot of my barbecue methods, and the one I really need to practice the most on is ribs. I just never seem to do good with ribs. I've come close a couple times, but I just never did good. Last year, the Heath Riles video really improved I thought, the taste and texture of my rib. So I don't use the Brookshire ribs. I use Smithfield ribs from Walmart. I really like them. The Pitmaster series. These are St. Louis cut. I like a pretty decent sized rib. More on the fatty side, bigger side than the smaller ones. So this is how I do it. I prep them in an aluminum sheet pan like this. And what I do is I line it with a piece of heavy duty aluminum foil. And then what I'll do is I'll take the package and I'll overhang it over my sink, and then cut it open and let the juices drip into the sink, and then take it out of the package, throw the package in the garbage, and then slide the rack of ribs, or put the rack of ribs back on here, and then dry off the juices right in this pan here. And it keeps the contamination down. It keeps it in this pan here with the aluminum foil. And the only thing I have is just rinse out my sink and I'm done. So take the membrane off like always, and then I don't, in practice, I'm not really trimming too much. Even if I do, even if I was competing, I would cut these off to taste the ends anyway, so it doesn't really matter in my mind. But if you think I should, maybe I should. But anyways, I do cut off the flap here and any other stray pieces that I might see. So I dry it off, and I think these all packaged ribs or packaged meat have that juice that's in there. It's kind of not really good. I don't like it. I try and blot as much off as I can. And then what I'll do is my pork butts, I might lightly rub them down with vinegar, apple cider. But that's why I put the mustard on. That's Aldi's mustard. It's pretty good. I'll squirt it on there. I think it kind of gives it a vinegary, cleans the meat, and it gives the rub something to stick to. So this is how I do my ribs lately. I always rub them down with the yellow mustard, and then I follow it up with a couple passes on the Lawry seasoned salt. I don't go real light, and I don't go real heavy. A nice, decent covering. Not too heavy because it would be too salty, and not too light. You won't get enough salt. So you got to have just the right amount. And then I follow it even lighter with the most powerful stuff. And you can see here, I did both already. It's so I go a little good with the Lawry's, and then follow up most powerful stuff. But I don't go too heavy with the most powerful stuff because it's kind of strong. And then I'm gonna come through with the pecan rub, and I really like the flavor this gives a rib. And I go kind of decent on this one. Do a good couple passes. It looks like I'm putting on a lot, but that's kind of what I want. And then, just like in his video, I'll follow it with the honey rub. And before I do, I always take the those little cardboard things out. I try and break up all the clumps in my containers before I start sprinkling, because once you get sprinkling, you get a clump, then it just messes up your nice, even spread. And I think that's important with ribs. You want to be consistent with that spread of the rub. And if you got clumps in there, it's going to mess you up. So I take a knife or a fork in there and I break them up before I start spreading. And because, from sitting, they're going to get the clumps. And especially if you're at home or in competition, you really don't want to stop, cross-contaminate. So if you notice, I haven't even touched the rib yet. So here we go with the honey rub. Now these two rubs from Heath Riles, I think, and the mustard, I think it gives the rib a nice amber look through the whole cook. Okay, and that's it. Notice how it looks. Now you notice, another good thing about putting it in the pan with the aluminum down here like this, is notice that little overhang there of the rub? Well, that's got all 4 rubs. Notice there? So what I'll do is, I don't have to touch the rib. I'll just grab the aluminum foil like this and snug up the edges on the sides. And then I'll take my hand and just pat that rub right into that side of that rib. That way I never touch the rib. See now how much is gone? Same thing here. I'll take it up, grab that, and just touch the edge of that rib, and it gets that rub up on that rib there on the sides without touching it with your bare hands. And I think it actually gets it more even than if you were to pick the rib up. Now see there how it got the edges nice? And you could do the same to the sides here. Okay. So now I'm going to let it sit for about up to a half hour at the most. And if it doesn't liquefy, I'm not worried about it too much. So that's a nice even coat. I'll flip it over after about 10-15 minutes and do the top side the same way. And then I'll come back, we'll put it on the smoker and tell you how I do that. Okay, kitty pies.